Rahim. I seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. Welcome to another Quran study, brothers and sisters. We are going to read from chapter 20, verse 60, God willing. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And the chapter is named Taha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Pharaoh summoned his forces, then came. Moses said to them, "Woe to you! Do you fabricate lies to fight God and thus incur his retribution? Such fabricators will surely fail." They disputed among themselves as they conferred privately. They said, "These two are no more than magicians who wish to take you out of your land with their magic and to destroy your ideal way of life. Let us agree upon one scheme and face them as a united front. The winner today will have the upper hand." They said, "O Moses, either you throw or we will be the first to throw." He said, "You throw," whereupon their ropes and sticks appeared to him because of their magic. Whereupon their ropes and sticks appeared to him because of their magic as if they were moving. Moses harbored some fear. We said, "Have no fear, you will prevail. Throw what you hold in your right hand, and it will swallow what they fabricated. What they fabricated is no more than the scheming of a magician. The magician's work will not succeed." So God is telling us here the story about Moses and the magicians that Pharaoh brought forward, because these people, they were thinking that Moses and Aaron were also magicians. They didn't know, of course. They thought they're also magicians. So, and Pharaoh summoned these magicians to, like, he thought he's going to win, like from Moses and Aaron. And they talked privately between them, saying, "These two guys, they are magicians. Let's unite our powers. Let's unite our magic, and then we can win from them." One of the things what I find interesting is they were talking about a way of their life. So in Egypt, there is this type of life going on, right? You have the Pharaoh who's on top, and then you have the other people. And if I'm not mistaken, even Pharaoh was telling those guys, like, if you can win from Moses, then I'm promising you that you are going to be close to me, like one of the most closest people to Pharaoh. So this shows us that status is very important in Egypt, and probably they had this status things going on. And to be close to Pharaoh means probably that you have like more wealth, power, and a lot of things. And they didn't want to lose that. And people were probably also fighting and doing their best to get higher ranks and to have a higher status there. And they and of course, Moses came to them, telling them that actually there's only one God. They need to worship one God. They need to stop the way of the way how they are living their lives, because when you are used to some kind of a life where you have, like, you think you have the power and you are ruling those people, and God sends a messenger telling you that the thing what you're doing is wrong, so that means you need to give up your power, actually. And this is something that they really don't want. That they really don't want. Even today in the world, we see a lot of people who are ruling countries. Like, when they come to power, when they gain a lot of money, a lot of power, those kind of things, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to give that up, and that's why they are fighting everyone who is who is a danger for their status, actually. And Pharaoh sees Moses as a danger to his power and to his status in Egypt. So that's why he is fighting him and accusing him of doing magic while he is not doing magic. There's also one thing that I found interesting, was that when Moses saw the magic of those magicians, they threw their ropes and it started moving, but God assures him not to be don't have no fear. God says, have no fear, you will prevail. And in 70, we read, the experts recognized the truth. The magicians fell prostrate, saying, after, of course, that Moses threw his staff, and then we know what happened. It swallowed their ropes. And they saw at that point that this is not magic, because these are the expert magicians, right? They know all the tricks. They know what is an illusion and what is not. So they recognized immediately that this wasn't magic, what Moses and Aaron produced. And we read in 70, the magicians fell prostrate, saying, we believe in the Lord of Aaron and Moses. So after seeing that, they understood this can't be magic, that what Moses and Aaron were telling, it's the truth. So they immediately fell prostrate. Like, this is a good example. When I read this, I also thought about the mathematical miracle of the Quran 19, right? It's something that has to do, like, it is mathematics, right? It is, so you expect from mathematicians, when they see this extraordinary thing in the Quran, which is based on 19, that they would understand it immediately after seeing this. Because normally, if you explain to people how 19 works and how God wrote this book within this specific kind of system that is based on this number 19, and there is a extremely complex mathematical system behind all the words and the letters, and how the Quran truly is made by God, you can actually easily see that this is impossible for a human, or even for super quantum computers like AI. It doesn't matter how smart AI becomes. You can easily see that this is impossible for those things to produce something like this. And then you expect from at least some mathematicians, maybe professors, who will hear or who will see this, and they will, like the experts, the magicians, they fell prostrate after seeing that this isn't magic. You would expect them to do the same, fell prostrate, and say immediately, like, this is really impossible for a human to do. This is really amazing, so we believe in it. But as far as I saw this, I didn't see a lot of like people, and I asked also mathematicians, about the 19, expecting them to understand this immediately, like to see that this is really something very special. It's extremely unique. There is no other similar thing as the Quran, a book which is written in a specific way based on a number 19, impossible to imitate, but very easy to understand and very easy to see. So that this shows us actually that it's all about your intentions, all about what is in your heart, and not specifically about the things that you know. Like, even if you're a professor in mathematics, if you don't deserve to see the miracle, if you don't deserve to believe in God, to believe in the message that God has sent, then your eyes are blind and your ears are deaf. You can't see it. But here in this specific situation, these magicians, they saw that this wasn't a magic. They thought it was magic, but they saw that. And we read in 71, he said, did you believe in him without my permission? He must be your chief, the one who taught you magic. I will surely sever your hands and feet on alternate sides. I will crucify you on the palm trunks. You will find out which of us can inflict the worst retribution and who outlasts whom. They said, we will not prefer you over the clear proofs that came to us and over the one who created us. Therefore, issue whatever judgment you wish to issue. You can only rule in this lowly life. We have believed in our Lord that he may forgive us our sins and the magic that you forced us to perform. God is far better and everlasting. So we can clearly see here that, these people, even Pharaoh threatens them, like to torture them. He doesn't say, I'm going to kill you immediately. he threatens them to torture them, to cut their hands and feet on alternate sides. And he says, I'm going to crucify you on the palm trunks. Like crucifixion is something that it's not like it takes a few hours before you die. But still, these magicians, um, after seeing one miracle, they immediately fell prostrate and they believed in the Lord of Moses. And while reading this, I also thought about the children of Israel, the people whom Moses uh, helped go out from Egypt. They saw so many miracles. Like they didn't see only one miracle; they saw so many miracles. God sent like food from them from the sky, and He helped them, and He gave them water. Like they saw so many miracles, and still they didn't believe in the end. There were only two believers. So we can clearly see here that for someone who is destined to believe, even one miracle is enough, or even without a miracle, if he is destined to believe, then they are going to believe. But if you are not destined to believe, it doesn't matter how many miracles you see and you witness. If I'm not mistaken, there is this one verse wherein they say, even if we will see God, with our own eyes, we still not going to believe. So it's all about the ego that people have. Even if they would see God with their own eyes, they still are not going to believe. So sometimes I ask people, right? I ask people in this time that, God gives examples of miracles in the Quran that happened before, like with Moses, with Jesus, with Yusuf, or with like all the other prophets and messengers that God has sent. And I'm asking them, if you would have seen one miracle, like which is told in the Quran, what would that make of you? Like, would that change anything? And most of the times, when you ask those people, they say, yes, definitely. If I was a witness when Moses, parted the sea, that would, of course, like I would bow down, fall prostrate, and of course, believe in Moses and the message that he brought. And after that, I try to show them the miracle 19, which is a much bigger miracle. Like, if you can understand how big, like how huge the miracle is, like this miracle proves all the other miracles that are sent before this. So it's really a special one. It's not bound to any time or specific location. Everyone in the whole world at this moment, even after 10 years or 50 years or 100 years, still can see the miracle. So they can be a witness of this miracle. That is one of the things that makes this extremely amazing. It is not bound to any location or any time. And it doesn't matter which language you speak. So even if you are blind, like let's say you are blind, you can't see, you still can witness this miracle. The only thing is you need to understand it. Like and it's very simple to understand actually. So we can clearly see that it doesn't matter how many miracles you see, how big a miracle is, even if you can see God with your own eyes, if you are destined for hell, it's not going to help you. So the most important thing here is to kill your ego. And that's also what God says in the Quran, in chapter Haifa, right? And he's also telling the children of Israel, you need to kill your ego. And that's why they still didn't believe after so many miracles, because of their ego. They said, we will not prefer you over the clear proofs that came to us and over the one who created us. Therefore, issue whatever judgment you wish to issue. You can only rule in this lowly life. So we see also a good example of submission here, right? They totally submit to the will of God. They don't care about the threats that Pharaoh is treating them. They say it doesn't matter. Even if you can rule, you can only rule in this lowly life. And in the hereafter, it's more important what's going to happen in the hereafter than in this world, because this is going to end. This lowly life is definitely going to end one day, but the hereafter is everlasting. It never ends. It's for eternity. We have believed in our Lord that he may forgive us our sins and the magic that you forced us to perform. God is far better and everlasting. Anyone who comes to his Lord guilty will incur hell, wherein he never dies nor stays alive. As for those who come to him as believers who had led a righteous life, they attain the high ranks. As for those who come to him as believers who had led a righteous life, they attain the high ranks. So we can clearly see in throughout the whole Quran, right? God is telling us to lead a righteous life. Even in chapter 2, verse 62, if I'm not mistaken, where God gives us the minimum requirements of for going to heaven, right? It's believe in God, um, believe in the hereafter, and lead a righteous life. Like these three things are the minimum requirements for someone to make it to heaven. Um, and the messenger explains this, right? He explains, he says, like these are the minimum requirements: believe in one God, don't put any idols besides God, believe in the hereafter, and lead a righteous life. And lead a righteous life, as the messenger explains, is like you don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't kill, you don't steal, like be a good person. And like and if you read the Quran, of course, in the Quran, God gives us the examples, the commandments that we need to do. Like, for example, don't have these bad thoughts about other people. That's even a sin. It can look it can look like it's a small sin, but actually it isn't. So we learn from the Quran how to be righteous. And God continuously reminds us that we need to live a righteous life, and only then we can make it to heaven. And leading a righteous life that also makes our souls grow. And the whole point of being leading a righteous life, believing in God and following His commandments, is all to make sure that our souls grow. So when we die, then we can be close to God. And if we don't grow our souls, and our souls shrink, then when we in the hereafter we can't we can't stay close to God. The gardens of Eden. The gardens of Eden, beneath which rivers flow, will be their abode forever. Such is the reward for those who purify themselves. We inspired Moses, lead my servants out and strike for them a dry road across the sea. You shall not fear that you may get caught, nor shall you worry. Pharaoh pursued them with his troops, but the sea overwhelmed them as it was destined to overwhelm them. Thus, Pharaoh misled his people. He did not guide them. O children of Israel, we delivered you from your enemy, summoned you to the right side of Mount Sinai, and we sent down to you manna and coals. So God guided these people and he saved them from Pharaoh. And in another verse in the Quran, we know that um, while while Pharaoh was dying, he's like before he died, of course, just before he died, he said that he believed in the Lord of Moses. He said, "I believe in the one God." So he died as a believer. But we learn from the message of the covenant, he said, like this was also a discussion between, still a discussion actually, in the Muslim world. Like people are saying, yeah, but like he died as a believer, because a lot of people, they think, and this is also a very dangerous trick of the devil. He tricked people in believing that it doesn't matter what kind of a life you lived. It doesn't matter. Even if you, like, let's say you live for 80 years and for 79 years, you had this very bad life. You like had alcohol, you didn't care about God, you didn't pray, you didn't do any of the commandments. But just before you died, let's say a few days or a few weeks or months, you like maybe started praying, or even not. What the devil did is he tricked people in believing that You can do everything what you want. The most important thing is before you die, if you say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, then you're gonna make it to heaven. And this is also a part of um, of um, of his trick, where people think that when they die, they even if they go to hell, they are gonna go to hell for a specific period of time. They don't believe that when you go to hell, you're gonna go forever to hell. They believe that when you die, you're gonna go to hell. You're gonna burn for your sins, and then after a while, and it actually doesn't matter how long you're going to burn. In the end, you are going to make it to heaven because before you died, you said La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Like that's the whole thing. So with these two main things, Satan tricked people thinking that they don't have to grow their souls. They don't have to pray 5 times a day and follow all these commandments that God commanded us to do. It's a main thing that, like, most of the people, if you ask Muslim anywhere in the world, like in Pakistan, in Turkey, or in Morocco, it doesn't matter. They all think that hell is hell is for just only a period of time for the ones who die as believers, like Pharaoh did. So within their understanding, because Pharaoh died as a believer, and they believe that when you, like in the Quran, God says that, right? When you believe and you become you become into submission, then all of your sins are forgiven by God. So that means that you die as someone who has no sins. Like you are purified, you're extremely clear, and then you die, and then you go directly to heaven. But it isn't like that. We learn from the message of the covenant that you need time to purify yourself. You need time to grow your soul. And what happened with Pharaoh is he died there, and he died as a believer. He believed in God. And even Satan believes in God, right? Satan is someone who believes in God. But the thing is, the important information is that we need time to grow our souls. And in one of the voice recordings, the message of the covenant also tells us that like the ones who live a longer life, they have more time. Like the submitters who have a longer life, they have more time to grow their souls. So it's actually a good thing to have a longer life. Like then that means, of course, God knows who deserve to have a longer life, right? And God decides. He's the one who decides. He knows exactly who deserves what. So he's arranging all of these things. But the main idea is to grow your soul, and you need time for that. And the more time you have, and the more you make use of that time, it will help grow your soul, and God willing, become close to God in the hereafter. 81. Eat from the good things we provided for you, and do not transgress, lest you incur my wrath. Whoever incurs my wrath has fallen. I am surely forgiving for those who repent, believe, lead a righteous life, and steadfastly remain guided. So throughout our whole life, we also need to steadfastly remain guided. It's not that when guidance comes to you and then you believe in the message and that's it. Like, that's not the point. The point is that when the message comes to you, we need to strive in the cause of God. Like, we need to really do our best to grow our souls. And the way to grow your souls is by just following the commandments of God, following the message, and lead a righteous life. Of course, that's why it's very important to also read the Quran and try to learn and gain more information about all these commandments and the whole message that God has sent to us. And we also see, right, God is saying so many times that He is a forgiving God. Like, if you are sincere, if you really want to be guided and you're sincere, God is going to guide you. But for that, you need to be sincere, of course. The children of Israel rebel. 83. Why did you rush away from your people, O Moses? He said, they are close behind me. I have rushed to you, my Lord, that you may be pleased. He said, "We have put your people to the test after you left, but the Sumerian misled them." Moses returned to his people, angry and disappointed, saying, "Oh, my people, did your Lord not promise you a good promise? Could you not wait? Did you want to incur wrath from your Lord? Is this why you broke your agreement with me?" They said, "We did not break our agreement with you on purpose, but we were loaded down with jewelry and decided to throw our loads in. This is what the Samaritan suggested." He produced for them a sculpted calf, complete with the calf's sound. They said, "This is your God and the God of Moses." Thus he forgot. And the footnote here says, the Samaritan went to the spot where God spoke to Moses and grabbed a fistful of dust upon which God's voice had echoed. This dust, when mixed with the molten gold, caused the golden statue to acquire the sound of a calf. So the Sumerian guy who probably, like Moses was left his people, right? He went to that place where God spoke to him, and the Sumerian guy probably followed him. Like, this is what I understand. Not probably, he followed him, and then while God was talking to Moses, I think so, or okay, no, I can't say for sure, of course, because then he would also be a witness of that, right? Let's talk on this after I finished. But so God tells us that, like, he took a little bit of the sand where the voice of God echoed on it, and then he asked these people to give their jewelry, and he melted the gold and he mixed it with the sand that God's voice echoed on, and then he told the people that this is the God of Moses. So they started worshiping the calf, and they were tricked by it because it made this sound, right? It's like some kind of a magic, actually. But we can see here that when Moses came back, he was very angry at those people, and he was asking, like, why couldn't you guys wait? Like, so many things happened, and still, these people really didn't deserve. These people really didn't deserve to be guided. Like, after so many things, and Moses saved them. He went there, but it's really strange. But then, the messenger also gives an example, right? He says, when you see these people and you can imagine them running towards hell, God places like boundaries before them, like walls, bricks, and they like crush those bricks with their bare hands and with their nails, trying to go to hell. Like, God doesn't want people to go to hell. He doesn't want that. That's why he's sending messengers, prophets. He sent books. He sent reminders. He gives them these miracles so they can be convinced, right? God doesn't want it. But the people, they are so idolatrous, so wicked, that it doesn't matter what God does. Like, they don't deserve to go to heaven. So they are destined to hell. And Aaron had told them, "O my people, this is a test for you. Your only Lord is the most gracious. So follow me and obey my commands." They said, "We will continue to worship it until Moses comes back." Moses said, "O Aaron, what is it that prevented you when you saw them go astray? From following my orders? Have you rebelled against me?" He said, "O son of my mother, do not pull me by my beard and my head. I was afraid that you might say, 'You have divided the children of Israel and disobeyed my orders.'" He said, "What is the matter with you, O Sumerian?" He said, I saw what they could not see. I grabbed a fistful dust from the place where the messenger stood and used it to mix into the golden calf. This is what my mind inspired me to do." Yeah, so Moses comes back. He's very angry because he sees these people like worshiping this calf, and tries to understand what's going on. And he even goes to Aaron, to his brother, holding by his beard and being angry. Why didn't you prevent this from happening? How come so? And there are two things actually, which is also in, if I'm not mistaken, in chapter 2. Here, Aaron says, like, I was afraid that you would that you have divided the children of Israel, that he would thought, okay, I disobeyed my orders and divided the children of Israel. And in the other part, if please correct me if I'm wrong, is like he says to him, these people, I was afraid that they are going to kill me. They didn't listen to me. And in that chapter, it also says that Moses came and then he threw the tablets, right, and then he rushed to them asking, how can this happen? And then Moses asks, he said, what is the matter with you, O Sumerian? And then he said, I saw what they could not see. I grabbed a fistful of dust from the place where the messenger stood and used it to mix it into the golden calf. This is what my mind inspired me to do. He said, then go and throughout your life, do not even come close. You have an appointed time for your final judgment that you can never evade. Look at your God that you used to worship. We will burn it and throw it into the sea to stay down there forever. So it's the calf that he made, and then he says that they are going to burn it and then throw it into the sea, so it's going to stay there forever. You have but one God. Your only God is God, the one beside whom there is no other God. His knowledge encompasses all things. Yeah, so it's really like reading the whole story of what happened and how these people are. The first thing that comes to the mind is like these people are really wicked, and in the end, we also know that only two of them believed after so many things. So this reminds me every time when I speak to people, right? When I try to give the message to the people, telling them, giving them the examples, giving them the proofs, showing them the miracles, like um, like these miracles that God speaks tells us about in the Quran. These miracles are done by the messengers, right, and done by the prophets. To show it to the people at that time. But the miracle of 19, it's something that the messenger doesn't have to be right here, right now, for us to see the miracle. It's different. Like anyone in the world can show the miracles. You just can tell them, listen, here you have the Quran, 114 chapters. You know, Basmala has 19 letters. Every word is a multiple of 19. Like you can you can show it to them. So a messenger or a prophet doesn't need to be at that place and at that spot for someone to be able to see the miracle. Like this is really amazing. And that's why the messenger says the ultimate miracle, right? It's very different than the other miracles that God has sent before us. It also proves, of course, those miracles. That's also very special. So for people like us who are witness to this miracle, it really strengthens and the level of belief that we have. It brings it higher and higher every time that we witness the miracle. So this was the last verse that I read, and here I will stop, God willing. If I made a mistake, may God forgive me. And if there are any questions or things that you want to add, please go ahead, brothers and sisters.
MashaAllah.
So, Brother Jafar, I think you mentioned at one of the places that they said to him, to Aaron, that they were gonna, or Aaron was afraid they were gonna kill him.
Yeah, I remember. Was there something like that in chapter 2 where like where Moses threw the tablets, and then he went to his brother asking him why did this happen, and then he said, I was afraid that they're going to kill me or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me. I don't know. Abdullah, can you show that the chapter where Moses threw the tablets, if I'm not mistaken?
Okay. Yeah, they said almost kill me. In Surah 7, verse 150 says, Son of my mother, the people took advantage of my weakness and almost killed me. Let not my enemies rejoice, and do not count me with the transgressing people. And then Moses said, My Lord, forgive me and my brother, and admit us into your mercy. Of all the merciful ones, you are the most merciful.
Yeah, Mash. Oh, this was in verse 7. Okay, I thought it was 2. Oh,
Surah
sure,
7,
chapter
verse
7.
1. Surah 7, verse 150.
Oh, it was 7.
And,
Yeah, yeah. So, when God is telling us what happened there at the time, like he tells us the story in chapter 20, and then in 7, also in chapter 2. It's like throughout the whole Quran, of course.
mhm. Yeah, it's amazing how God has explained, the history of Moses in such great detail. You know, like almost like it's like almost like you're watching a movie. Very interesting. Like to be able to see everybody's reaction and to study them, study their character and how they responded, especially the children of Israel, and how they went through all these situations and how they responded and reacted. And like you said, when you read about them, and you read how these people saw all this stuff and how they reacted poorly, you'd say like, wow, the children of Israel were really bad, you know. But then when you look at everyone else around you, like people, even now, people who believe or say they become submitters, and now they see even the greater than, one they didn't even see, like those people didn't even see 1/10 of the miracle, right? But here we have people who saw so much more, and they're responding in the same manner, probably worse. So many people are behaving so poorly, and setting the worst examples, um, doing idol worship, reverting to disbelief, creating innovations, so many things, and criticizing the messenger, upholding their own personal opinions. Um, After seeing the tangible physical evidence that, like you said, you could witness at any time, so then you know that, yeah, well, these children of Israel, I mean, these people were just like, almost just like any other wicked people, just humans. Like, this is you're not looking at very special evil people. You're just looking at typical human beings, who contemporary followers of the messenger, who will set the worst example. I mean, you look at the people that apparently believed at the time of the messenger, and then you see how most of them turn into hypocrites, and you see, well, wow, like there's not much difference. I see.
There is this voice recording of the messenger where he responds to the question. God knows who is going to hell, right? So he knows that these people, they're already going to go to hell. So um, why do all of this? Why create all of this? And he could like directly send these people to hell because he know it. And then he explains, and he said everything that God did and does is actually to save the ones who don't deserve to go to hell. So these miracles and all these things, these people still, like, even if God would send like multiples of like miracles, it's not going to matter for them. They're still not going to believe. So all these things that God is doing is actually to save this small group of people who actually don't deserve to go to hell. And maybe like in the verse it says that there were only two believers, right? For example, only two believers, and probably they were also witness to to those miracles, and the other ones also witnessed it, but they didn't believe. So that's the whole point of why we are here. You know, it's totally to save the ones who actually didn't deserve to go to hell, because the angels, they said, like, throw them into hell, right? And God said, you don't know what I know. Like, God knew that there were some souls who deserve to be saved by God. That shows also how merciful He is. Can you imagine the joy that the ones who are going to heaven have? Like, you know, we did a mistake, and then God gave us a chance to, you know, we could become like an animal, like a tree, or like some kind of a star or anything. And we didn't accept that. And then we came to the world, and, you know, God tested us. He sent messengers and books and miracles, etc. And then in the end, you make it to heaven. Like, seeing like a lot of people not making it to heaven, and then you did make it to heaven. Like, the joy that at that moment someone can have, like, it's like we can't really imagine, I think, at the moment, but it's like a huge thing. It's not like a simple thing. Like, a lot of people, they think this is really simple and easy. They really think it's easy, and um that's why they think that when they are going to die, they're going to go to hell for a specific time, for a few years maybe, and then they're going to make it to heaven. But it's not that easy, actually.
Yeah, it's also good to see the importance of the growth of the soul. Because Pharaoh died right at the end of his life, or I mean, he became technically he was a believer, but God uh, that doesn't leave anything out of the Quran because we don't see that anywhere in the Bible. So we can see the importance of growing the soul and feeding the real person.
Yeah, and the beauty is like that we now have the right information about these things. I remember when I was a small kid, like, there was these discussions about what is going to happen, what happened with Pharaoh. Is he is he gonna go to heaven, or is he going to go to hell? And these imams and people who think they knew the Quran or the story, like, some of them said, yeah, but like, he said that he believed, but there is this thing as, you need to say it with your mouth, but you also really need to believe with your heart. And then one group said, okay, um, Pharaoh said that he believed in it, but in his heart he didn't believe. And they even made up a hadith about it, that the moment when he said that he believed in God, Gabriel came down and put sand in his mouth, like, to prevent him to believe. Really strange. He put sand. He rushed to the earth and put sand in his mouth. One group believed in that, and the other group, they think, yeah, it doesn't matter. Even if you say La ilaha illallah, like, if you say in the last second that you believe in God, it doesn't matter what kind of a life you had.
Yeah,
You're going to make to heaven.
that's why you see, like, all these Turkish dramas. When someone dies, he says the false shahada.
Yeah, 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 I know. And there is this famous story, brother. They taught us when we were still very young. They said, yeah, there was this one guy who was like a very bad person. He had alcohol and he gambled, and for 80 years he did so many bad things, and he didn't pray and he didn't believe in God, etc. And there was this other person who like for 80 long years he prayed to God and he did everything right, and he did nothing else than praying to God and following the commandments. Then one day, or like a few hours before that guy died, Satan came to him, he tricked him, and then he did one mistake, or he like stopped believing in God or something, and then he went to hell. And the other guy who did so many bad things, something happened, and then he started believing in God, and like 1 hour later he died and he made it to heaven.
Yeah, I think the one I like is the one where this
Yeah.
woman, she fed a cat and she
Hmm.
went to
Oh yeah, that kind of, yeah.
the hungry cat.
Yeah, there's also one. There was this girl. Her father and mother died, and her uncle looked after her, but he was like a bad person, and he didn't really look after her. But he had these dirty hands, like it was like dirty, and he scrubbed his hands on her hair to clean his hands. So then this this small girl was happy because of what he did. She thought, "Oh, he gave love to me, like he loved me because he put his hand on my on her hair." Small children, you put your hand onto their head, like what is it called, to give them love. So then this
Perverts.
guy died. Yeah, and this guy died, and then he went to heaven. And then they asked, what did you do to make it to heaven? Because you were so bad, etc. And unintentionally, he did something, even with like bad intentions. He said, yeah, that's why he went to heaven. Like there are so many stories that people are telling, like it doesn't make any sense, and like it's like totally out of the Quran, like totally different and totally against all these verses that God has sent. And
Yeah, I mean
people,
those are the things that show that they don't actually believe in the hereafter. Because believing in the hereafter means to believe and really believe what's going to happen. To understand the system of God, the justice system, that God is the most just. I mean, imagine someone sitting all their life and then feeding a hungry cat or something. I mean, what about people who are feeding their cats every single day? And I mean, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, obviously, it shows that these people don't actually believe, because if they did, they will start to think logically. But they don't. It's just like a fantasy for them. So, but Satan lies to them and hypnotizes them and makes them want to accept anything fancy sounding, like they will, like the disbelievers and the hypocrites. When they hear these things, they are impressed, by these fancy words. They're like, wow, that's amazing. And so, they look for things like that. And so, subhanAllah, like, God has given us the truth, and it's none of that. I mean, it's not nonsense. It's just like anything else in this world. You have to work on. You have to work hard. There are no shortcuts to go to heaven. I mean, if you want to go to heaven, you have to be righteous, and you have to worship God alone under all circumstances, and that's it. And I mean, this shows that the hereafter, this world. I mean, it's not a joke. So.
Yeah, because like, what would be the point of the whole test of if that was the case? It wouldn't even make sense. That was the biggest thing for me coming from Christianity was just the unfairness of, oh, these people could do this and that, and then say they believe in some person that died and go to heaven. It's like, come
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Satan, like he is really coming to people from their left, right, from front of them, from the back, from underneath, and from above. Um, he's really doing his best, to trick these people.
Yeah, also, so the part that we read about Aaron, he says he was afraid that you have divided the children of Israel and disobeyed my orders. So does that mean that he was afraid that by saying anything, he would be blamed for dividing them, or that he was afraid that he was going to say you have divided them, then he's actually thinking that this caused division among them?
Yeah, so
I
if
used
we
to think it
also
was the first. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say was like we also read the verse in chapter 7, right? So they almost killed him. So what I think that happened was he maybe tried to convince them and change them, but maybe they were also divided. Some of them like maybe believed in Aaron and some of them didn't. So and because he says there they almost killed him. So this means uh, probably he really tried to convince them, and but he just couldn't. um and maybe if he pushed more, then they would be divided. That's the thing that came up to me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to think. I was thinking the same thing. Like the fact, like you said, I was afraid you might say you've divided the children of Israel and disobeyed my orders on the basis of him actually trying to fix the issue with them and get them to not
Mm-hmm.
do that. But then I think I read it again and I thought a few times like I think he could just be talking generally like
Mm-hmm.
he's just saying like when you get back you this is just what he was thinking regardless of what he did. The fact that they went astray. But
Mm-hmm. Also, I have this vague memory. I don't know if I'm right, but I think that because of the corrupted history that we see in the other scriptures, I think there was something to the effect where they tried to blame Aaron for it anyways, and saying that Aaron had a lot to do with this or something like that. I mean, don't quote me on this, but like I think I have this memory of seeing something before where they blamed a lot of this on Aaron in the text. Maybe I should look for it.
In the
oh
Bible
yeah,
or
they
Torah, you
tried
mean?
saying I think he took a part in baking the calf for them or something. Yeah, some nonsense.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like what?
yeah, prophet of God. Imagine
The
that.
fact that the fact that they were going to try to kill him like proves that's laughable because it's if he was helping them in any sort of way they wouldn't have threatened him. You know.
Yeah, and we can see here, right? Like Moses is going to his brother, like asking him, "How can this happen? Why didn't you like prevented them?" He was also in a shock, right? But the other thing is that in the verse, God says, "While you were away, we tested them." So
Yeah,
God
look,
gives
look,
him
look.
already information,
Yes, Paula.
but he was
Look,
angry with them.
well, so look, I found it. It says in Exodus 32. The golden calf. It says, when the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses, who brought us out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." Aaron answered them, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me." So all the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what they handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, "These are our gods, Israel, who brought you out of Egypt." So when Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of the calf and announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord." So the next day, people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. Afterward, they sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go down, because your people have you brought out of Egypt have become corrupt." So, so you see, I mean, like they blamed Aaron. They said that Aaron asked them to take it down, and he took them off and put them and cast it into an idol, and said, "These are the gods that
Doesn't
brought
it say
you."
anything about the Sumerian there in that
It doesn't
chapter?
say anything about Sumerian.
Oh,
Yeah,
about
you see,
Sumerian.
they blamed Aaron when it was actually the Sumerians.
Mm.
Like the prophets are a joke, like
Right.
the
And that's
prophets
that's
are.
that's yeah, that's one really messed up thing about they. You can see that throughout the old scriptures. Is I think the people who also wrote it were, I don't know, acquiescing to the people's messed up desires or something. Like
Satan.
there's a common theme, I guess. Is to
It's
discredit the message.
Yeah, it's also really strange, right? Like Moses showing them so many miracles, so many things happened, he saved them. But then these people, when a guy, like he makes something and then they start believing in that. Um,
Yeah, and like that, what it says. It says, and afterward they sat down. I mean, this is like Aaron is with them, prophet of God. He said they sat down to eat and drink, and got up to indulge in revelry. Like, they got up and started drinking and like had a dance party, almost like drunk. Revelry is like when there's a lot of heavy drinking and festivities along with it. Usually with alcohol, and so
yeah, these people were really wicked.
yeah. But this is why God has given us the Quran with the details, complete details, and He shows us. Obviously, here we don't see that God is not saying that Moses didn't or Aaron didn't make the idols. It was Sumerian. God is just telling us the correct story, right? And then you can clearly see, okay, this is the correct story. So now I understand that the story in the Bible is, corrupt, right? It's nonsense. And so, like for example, for people who are looking for verbatim, like text to tell them, no, no, circumcision is not part of religion, or Abraham was not given circumcision. That's not going to happen. God told us the correct covenant that was given to Abraham, and which definitely is in contradiction, complete contradiction with the covenant in the so-called covenant in the Bible, where we don't see any practices, actual practices being mentioned. So we understand that the correct covenant of Abraham is the one that is mentioned in the Quran.
Yeah, mashallah.
Mhm.
You know, knowing the right, knowing that the information that you have about these things is 100% accurate is also it gives you a good feeling. Like it's not guesswork. It's not because we know 100% this is the right thing. 100% we know it. We don't guess.
Mhm.
It gives you this good feeling about no, this is the right information. Period. No questions whatsoever about the authenticity. About the authenticity of the information. So it's also a blessing from God. I think also psychologically, because like when you think about it, like people are believing in things they don't know 100% sure. Like they believe in something because their parents believe in it, or they are just raised up like that. But we believe in all these things with like this proof that we have. It's very different and extremely good. Like for psychologically, I think it's a very good thing to have.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
It makes you strong. I had this discussion a few days ago with this Turkish guy who was like, he remembered the Quran in Arabic. He said they called him Hafiz, in Arabic. I don't know. Yeah, Hafiz. It's called Hafiz. Um, so he was saying things which are not correct, right? So then, because I knew the information, the correct information, then I gave it to him. So it didn't matter if I was Hafiz or not. You don't have to be Hafiz, you know. It's all about the correct information.
Mhm. I'm still reading part of what they put about Aaron. He said. So Moses said. It says Moses said to Aaron, "What did these people do to you that you led them into such great sin?" He said, and he said, don't be." Aaron said to Moses, "said Don't be angry, my Lord." He's calling Moses my Lord. And it says, "You know how prone these people are to evil. They said to me, 'Make us gods who will go before us.' As for this fellow Moses who brought us out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." So I told them, "Whoever has jewelry, take it off." Then they gave me the gold, and I threw it in the fire, and out came this calf. Like, oh, they were just evil people, and they said we want to do it. So I said, "Yeah, let's go ahead and do it."
Yeah, these people are so wicked. Like who wrote this stuff because they're attributing lies to the to the prophets and the messengers of God. I mean, what better way
Mhm.
to subvert the message
Mhm.
and get and also it's something like it makes sense why so many people, like I've seen people use the example of like Solomon and David, who were both honorable. All the messengers and prophets were honorable. And like subvert, write about these made up stories.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh well, they did this bad thing, during their lifetime. So by you doing it, it's okay. Just seek, ask for forgiveness and believe Jesus died. And it's what you said earlier. The fancy words they love hearing this stuff because then they can, seek, their hearts can believe this stuff and they can live this stuff out. You know
Mhm.
because they like, oh well, they did it, so it's okay.
Yeah, in one of those stories, it says that he was drunk and then his daughters came. Like very
Mhm.
bad things are
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
told
Lot.
about
And
him.
then with David, he sent his top general off to get killed and married his wife or something. And and then Solomon, I think with or not Solomon, it might have been David and Bathsheba, but it's just nonsense, because you lose, I mean, you lose respect if you don't know the truth, and it's like,
Mhm.
and it becomes commonplace, like, oh, that's okay. And when in fact it's like the Quran said, who's more evil than the one who fabricates lies about God, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and then I'm reading on the forums online, and people are asking like, why did Aaron lie? Why did Aaron worship the calf? You know.
That's true. You see, yeah, even people are like, they're even it's like it doesn't make sense. you know, if they're having to ask.
Why was Aaron not punished for making the calf? Like, and then people are just like dancing around it and trying to come up with more lies to justify the lies.
Yeah, that's what they do.
So, well, I mean, God really forgave these people. He blessed them. He got them out of slavery. You know, gave them manna and quails from heavens. I mean, imagine they didn't have to do anything. They were not slaves anymore, and they were being provided for out of nowhere, and being blessed like that, right? And so they still decide to rebel and fall into idol worship at that time for no good reason. I mean, what did they learn from all of this experience, with the sea being parted? I mean, them and those people. What about those people who are making statements that you can only rule in this lowly life, just if you want to cut our hands and feet, like, you know, we will still return to our God, and, stood up against Pharaoh even at the time and believed with him, and then, exhibiting, this kind of poor behavior and falling in idol worship. In I mean, such a blatant act of idol worship, so obvious, So it shows how Satan got to them so quickly. And this was not even like not even when Moses uh, died. This is when Moses was still alive, and just went for 40 days.
Yeah, I find it interesting. It was a Sumerian that started all this ruckus and like misled the people and did this ritual or whatever it was that he did. You know, because he like people today talk about or like interested in the Sumerians. You know, I've seen different things about them, like they're super old, a really old civilization of some sort, and you know they talk about these Sumerian old texts, you know, or something like it's some type of sacred wisdom, you know, but you know we know from the Quran that's not really the case, you know, because it doesn't seem like they're these people uh were I think the people take interest in them. I think because like they have some of the oldest tablets or some really old stuff. But I mean, we know from the Quran that these people. I mean, I can't speak on behalf of just what one person did, but I mean, I think it's safe to assume that they're idol worshippers. You know.
Right. Are there any other comments or questions from anyone? Looks like there aren't any. So, God willing, I guess if there are no more comments or questions, we can end the study. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Brother Abdullah, for streaming, and thank you, Brother Jaffer, for leading the study. God willing, our next English Quran study would be on Saturday at, on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
God bless. Assalamu alaikum. Thanks, Brother Jaffer and Abdullah. Salam.